We've been in James for a long time, right? Started with my dad like 3 months ago. Today we're looking at what's in our future. James chapter 4, 13 through 17. James chapter 4, 13 through 17. And we're going to see what James has to say about how we deal, how we face our future.
What verse is 4?
13 through 17.
Oh, okay.
Starting at 13. Now listen, you who say today or tomorrow, we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business and make money. Why, you do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live to do this or to do that. As it is, you boast in your arrogant schemes. All such boasting is evil. If anyone then knows the good that they ought to be doing and doesn't do it, it is a sin for them. What did the past say to the future? I have a present for you. Sorry. Some people aren't good at predicting the future. There's a guy named Ken Olsen. He was the president, the chairman, and founder of the Digital Equipment Company. In 1977, I quote, he said, "There is no reason anyone would want a computer in their home." Regarding the steamboat, this is a quote from Napoleon, right? How, sir, would you make a ship that sails against the wind and against the currents by lighting a bonfire under her deck? I pray you excuse me, I have not the time to listen to such nonsense. Right? Western Union, an internal memo from 1876. This telephone has too many shortcomings to be seriously considered as a means of communication. The device is inherently of no value to us. Check this one. The Decca Recording Company said in 1962, we don't like the sound and guitar music is on its way out. And they rejected the Beatles. Wild. Americans have always been a forward-looking people, right? We've been willing to work hard to get ahead, but today's culture is a little bit maybe preoccupied with the future. We give the future a lot of attention. Jen and I were kind of old school when we were pregnant with each of our 3 daughters. We declined in learning the gender of each in anticipation of the surprise, and it was kind of wild. I had it in my head. It was inside me. I knew with our first child we were going to have a boy. But when Alexa was born, I cried. Tears of happiness. It was such a surprise, and it was so cool. It was a really neat thing. But we don't do that anymore. Not many people do anyway. They want to prepare the bedroom ahead of time and paint it pink or blue. They want to know what kind of clothes to put in the closet. The kid doesn't care, right? That's the way we live our lives these days. We want to know what's going to happen next year, the next decade, the next century. It's amazing how people try so many different things to determine what their future is going to be. Fortune telling, tea leaves, right? Astrology, palm reading. This has been a fascination for a long time. They want to know what's coming after them. We read books. We subscribe to seminars that forecast economic predictions. We attend conferences and seminars on planning and goal setting to get a grasp on our future. Many people that we admire, and some that we don't admire, they want us to give up the way we're living today to preserve the world for tomorrow. You know what I'm talking about? But at the same time, they fly in their jets, and they cruise on their big boats, and they own the big mansions and SUVs. So what's the Christian viewpoint regarding the future and how we deal with it? James talks about how to face the future. He says there's 3 mistakes that we make when we deal with the future. He illustrates the first mistake with what might sound like a conversation between a couple of businessmen. In verse 13, I'll read it again. He says, now listen to you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this city or that city, spend a year there, carry on business, and we will make money. You see what's wrong with it or not? What's wrong with it? We do this all the time, don't we? We make plans. What's wrong with this situation? It sounds like a couple of entrepreneurs talking. They got detail in their business plan. They've got it all figured out. When? Today and tomorrow. Where? They're going to go to this city or that city. How long are they going to spend there? We're going to spend a year there. Doing what? We're going to carry on business. Right? Why? Because we want to make money. Jews have a reputation nowadays, don't they? In preparing for this message, I learned it's not just nowadays. This is going back to Jesus' time. They had a reputation. They were known to go to different parts, different cities, and they knew what kind of businesses to start up and make money. They were good at it back then, just like they are now. They had a plan. What's wrong with this? The Bible doesn't condemn us for making a legitimate profit. That's a good thing. The Bible talks a lot about planning too. We're supposed to plan. This guy has everything planned. He's got the purpose, the place, the progress. He's got everything covered. Have you figured out what's wrong here? He hasn't included God in any of it. Right? There's not a single mention of God. 3 common mistakes. The first one, James says, first common mistake that we make is planning without God. There's not a single mention. He knew what he wanted. He knew how to get there, but he didn't check it out with God first. Luke had recorded Jesus talking about planning long before James was even written. Jesus' words in Luke 14:28 says, no man goes out and builds a house without first considering how much it's going to cost. Right? And the book of Proverbs says over and over again that if you don't plan, you're a fool. It's wise to plan. He's not talking about planning. He's talking about the presumption without including God in your plans. It's great to have dreams. It's great to have goals as long as you include God, as long as you pray about it. There's nothing wrong with what this guy did. All of these things are fine. It's what he forgot to do. He forgot to do that last song. I can't remember the chorus. His blessings are running after me. God's goodness is coming after me, running after me. Are we waiting there for it? Are we turning to face it and accept it and run with it? Or are we planning without that? We at least better not flirt with God's power. We need to include Him. Another quote when I was doing this message, preparing for it, was one from the year 1914. It's not recorded who said it. The quote was, yes, lady, God Himself could not sink this ship. The Titanic then sunk, killing 1,493 people. You can be a believer and you can still forget God in your daily lives. There are many people that love the Lord with all their heart, but when it comes to planning their business or their career, their school, their education, their future, they're not including God. It's sad to meet somebody who says, I don't believe in God. I don't believe He exists. But it's even sadder to me to find somebody who says, I believe He exists, but they don't act like He exists. They don't include Him in their lives and their planning. He doesn't make any plans involving the Lord. This guy just goes off on his own as if it all depends on him. If you say you believe in God, then I question, what does He have in your life? What role is He taking in your life? How are you asking Him to guide you in your life? Don't plan without Him. It's presumptuous. And in fact, planning without God could be called practical atheism. So what's the solution? In verse 15, He gives us a solution. I'll read it again. Instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and we will do this or we will do that. Even the best laid plans of men often fall through. There's a thing called Murphy's Law. Can anyone recite it?
Anything can go wrong, it will go wrong.
Yeah, right. It doesn't hurt to have God on board. Right? If things can go wrong, they will. Count on it. Life is one big if. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Right? I can presume. I have an idea what's going to happen tomorrow, but I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. The starting point in the future is to say, God, what do you want me to do? What do you want me not to do? Planning without prayer is presumptuous. He says we should preface all of our planning with the phrase, if the Lord wills it. He says that the whole attitude of our life should be, it's up to God. Right? Whatever He wants me to do is what I want. And it said that in a song we just sang too. But are we good at that? Christians, for hundreds of years, they used to write the initials DV at the end of a letter. They'd write a letter to somebody, and then they'd write their name, and then DV. It stood for Deo Volente, which means Lord willing. They used to make a statement when they wrote to people. James says that ought to be our response to life. It's okay to plan, but we need to include God in our plans and our goal setting. Proverbs 16 tells us that we need to make plans with God. It says 16 verse 1, we may make our plans, but God has the last word. Proverbs 16 verse 9 says we should make plans counting on God to direct us. Okay. Some pray, God, bless what I'm doing. Maybe we should pray, God, help me to do what you're blessing. Help me to figure out the way I need to pray for this. God is doing a lot of fantastic things in the world. We should want to be in on those things. Planning without God is the first mistake, and you overcome it by including Him on your goal setting. I shared a lot about my previous job. After last November, it became obvious to me that this was the terrible place to work at, and I prayed for months that God would change something. I knew things could be so much better, and I prayed that God would come in and change something. Nothing happened until the day that I changed my prayer and said, God, what are your plans? I just need a new job. And then things happened. You know, maybe we did figure out how to do things a different way sometimes. The second mistake when planning your future is presuming about tomorrow, taking it for granted, assuming you're going to live forever. I've got the rest of my life. I'll read verse 14 and 16 again. Verse 14 and 16. Why, you don't even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. As it is, you boast and brag. All such boasting is evil. There are a couple of reasons that we shouldn't presume about the future and assume that we've got tomorrow all tied up. Right? The first reason we shouldn't presume about the future is because life is unpredictable. Verse 14 says, you don't even know. You don't have a clue. None of us knows what's going to happen tonight, much less next year. All we can do is make guesses. Life is unpredictable. We take it as it comes to us. A war could start. Right? We've been watching so close to getting involved in something, haven't we? A war could start. The economy could tank. None of us knows what's going to happen in life. People that work on commission or people that are self-employed. Farmers. You don't know what different weather's going to bring from season to season. What can change like that? You need to be ready for it. There's no guarantee of perpetual success. Don't let the fact that life is uncertain frighten you, though. Just let it be cause that you trust in God more. That's what we're supposed to be taking out of this. We need to be more dependent on God. The second reason we shouldn't presume is because life is brief. James says, you are a mist. Right? Mist in Greek is atmos. That's where we get the word atmosphere. Your life is like a fog. It rolls in the morning, but it burns off by noon. None of us knows how long we're going to live. There are different ways through the Bible that it describes your life. There's all kinds of different ways, but some of the words are leaf, grass, shadow, cloud, puff of smoke. Your life is a vapor. Right? It goes very quickly from playing with your Hot Wheels to playing in your wheelchair. Life is short. My dad says diapers, then dignity, then decay. Yeah, different times of life. It's okay to plan for 50 more years, but don't presume that you have 50 more years. Do not boast about tomorrow, Proverbs 27:1 says, "Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring forth." We love to make goals and we love to declare them. Next year I'm going to add on to my house. Next year I'm going to increase my income. Next year I'm going to go on a vacation, spend some money in Europe. We love to make these plans, but announcing a goal can either be a statement of faith or it can be a statement of arrogance. What makes the difference? Your motive. Right? Your motive. Why are you saying what you're saying? God says it's great to have goals, but check with me first. The solution to this one is live large today. Matthew 6, verse 34, I'll quote it. It says, "Don't be anxious about tomorrow. God will take care of your tomorrow too. Live one day at a time." The future could be overwhelming, but fortunately it comes in bite-sized pieces. We get a day at a time. We get a day at a time. Enjoy the little things today. Drink your coffee slowly. Eat your pizza slowly. Enjoy it while you can. My wife and kids will tell you how thoroughly I enjoy sitting on the front porch. Weather permitting, I'm on that front porch. And I don't know what's going on the news anymore because I'm sitting on the front porch. I shouldn't say. Sometimes I'm on the front porch looking at the news. Sometimes I'm reading a book. Sometimes I'm preparing my sermon. The neighbors are all talking about it now. They're like, what are you doing sitting out there with all these papers all over the place? So it's kind of interesting. I enjoy that time out there, hanging out, listening to nature, saying hi to the neighbors, waving at them. Sometimes they come over and visit with us a little bit. You're all welcome anytime, by the way. It's a neat place to kind of hang out. Today is the good old days that you're going to be talking about in 15 years. Right. Spencer Johnson was a psychiatrist. He wrote a book called The Perfect Present. In this book, he said that the perfect present is the present. Not the next hour, not the next month, but right now. It's the perfect present. That's the gift that God has given us to enjoy, and we ought to use it. We need to put our trust in God, enjoy today, and walk with Him into the future. You may not know what the future holds, but you should know who holds your future. As David said in Psalm 35:15, "Lord, my days are in your hands." The third mistake in planning our future is procrastination. In verse 17, he says, "Anyone then," and we're reading verse 17, chapter 4, "anyone then who knows the good that he ought to do and doesn't do it, sins." James is talking about stalling. I'm intending to do it. We all know people like this. Right? Maybe you need to look in the mirror sometimes. Right? Putting things off. Here's the poet in me. You ready? "Procrastination is my sin. It only causes me sorrow. I know I ought to change my ways. In fact, I will. Tomorrow." Have you heard that before? Yeah. It's great. We mostly think of sin as evil activities, right? Murder, cheating, lying, stealing. Those are sins of commission. Those are things we're committing. We're doing stuff. We're committing those sins. But there's another kind of sin. We just read about it. There's sins of omission. Things we're supposed to be doing, but we're not doing them. What are we not doing that we're supposed to be doing? Verse 17, I'll quote it again. "To him who knows to do good but doesn't do it, it's sin. I can do nothing and still sin, because there are things that I should be doing." You may have heard this too. "I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't cuss. I don't chew. And I don't run around with girls that do." You don't do anything wrong, but you forget God in your life. And you're not doing what He's planned in your life. He says you're committing a sin. Procrastination is a subtle trap. It's the land of someday, one of these days. But you never do it because we presume upon tomorrow. One of these days I'm going to get serious about God. One of these days I'm going to start praying more. I know I really need to pray more. One of these days I'm going to start tithing on my income. I'm going to work on getting more committed to this stuff. one of these days. God says you don't have any guarantee of tomorrow, not at all. The solution is to do it all. Another quote from Proverbs, and it was in Proverbs a lot. Proverbs chapter 3, 27 and 28, let me read it to you. Do not withhold good from those who deserve it. When it is in your power to act, do not say to your neighbor, come back later and I'll give it to you tomorrow, if you have it with you now. If somebody comes to you and asks for a favor, don't procrastinate. If you can do it now, do it now. There are 3 things you can do with your life. You can spend it, waste it, or invest it. The television show you how to waste it, won't it? It'll also show you how to spend it. It's all right there in the television. You can spend your life trying to acquire things. Mostly when we're doing that, it's fame or pleasure. Right? You can invest your life. The best use of life is to invest it on something that's going to outlast it. Investing it on something that's going to outlast it. Jim Elliot was a missionary that went to Ecuador, and they told him before he left, they said, the natives there, they're going to try and kill you, and they might. But he said, and I quote, he is no fool who gives up that which he cannot keep for that which he cannot lose. He went to Ecuador, and they did kill him. But to this day, there's a thriving church in Ecuador because of his statement there, because of his investment there. Where I spend my time now may determine where I spend eternity. Invest your life in things that will last. What's going to last? I got 2 things that will last. God's Word's going to last, and people are going to last. Invest your life in God's Word, and people make it count. There was a commercial on TV by the U.S. Peace Corps, and it said, it doesn't matter how long you live your life if you're not doing anything with your life. We worry about the duration. We worry about how long we're going to live. God worries about the donation. Right? What are you doing with your life? Am I making it count, or am I frittering it away on non-essentials, things that aren't going to count, things that don't matter? What am I doing with my life? Remember the story about the talents? The story Jesus told about the talents? I won't go into detail, but master was leaving and he gave talents. Okay, that talent, when I looked it up, a talent that they're referring to at the time would have been a large weight of gold or silver, probably. And he gave each of these servants a large weight of silver or gold, precious metals, and he went away. When he came back years later, 2 of the people he had given these talents to had invested and made money on it. They doubled what they had. One had taken it and buried it in the ground and protected it so it wouldn't go away, so nothing could happen to it. When the master came back and he seen that this guy had buried it and he pulled it up under the ground and says, here you go. He said, you wicked servant. Why? What had he done wrong? He just held on to it. He didn't do anything with it. You're supposed to do something with it. Make it grow. Do something with it. Doing nothing with your life is bad. Make your life count. I can do all things. I can do all kinds of things that keep me from doing the bad things. But I need to make sure I'm doing what God wants me to do. Okay? Whatever you intend to do for the Lord, do it now. Don't put it off. Don't procrastinate. Do it now. Not next week. Not next month. Thinking about telling someone about Jesus Christ, do it now. Thinking about inviting someone to church, we need to do it now. Thinking about visiting somebody that might be lonely, getting involved in a Bible study. Thinking about starting to tithe from your income, do it now. Luke 12, Jesus tells a story that illustrates what James is teaching in this passage of Scripture. He tells a story about a man who's very successful in life, but he made silly decisions. He made some mistakes that James talks about, all 3 mistakes. He planned without God, he presumed about tomorrow, and he put off doing good. This is what it says in Luke 12, 16 to 21. Jesus told them a parable. The ground of a certain rich man produced an abundant crop, and he thought to himself, what shall I do? I have no place to store my crops. Then he said, this is what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns and I'll build bigger ones. And there I will store all my grains and my goods. And I will say to myself, you have plenty of good things laid up for many years. Take life easy. Eat, drink, and be merry. But God said to him, you fool, this very night your life will be demanded of you. Then who will get everything you have saved up for yourself? This is how it will be with anyone who stores up things for himself, but is not rich towards God. God says, how silly. You don't know how long you're going to be alive. I hope you're living your lives for Christ. Not because you're going to die tonight, but so you can take advantage of what God has for you if you go in and get on board with Him. He might have big plans for you to live out tomorrow. Do 3 things. Plan with God. Don't presume on tomorrow. Live today. Make it count. Don't wait on the things that you know are the right things that you're supposed to be doing now. 2 Corinthians 6:2 says, right now God is ready to welcome you. Today He's ready to save you and guide you. If you need to reestablish this faith, do it now, because tomorrow might not come. Have you set days, marked your calendar, scheduled appointments, and then prayed, God, I want you to bless my life? Does God have a say in your schedule, or do you just fill it up? Does God have priority in what your plans are? What starts out as a temporary condition ends up in a permanent lifestyle. We get busy with all kinds of stuff. People are going 100 miles an hour, bringing in the bucks, taking care of the things they think they need to take care of. Then once they have everything they need, there's no relationships left. It seems like such a short time ago that Trista was sitting on my lap, reading Chronicles of Narnia. Right? Great memories. I don't think we got through but 3 or 4 of the books. There's one of them in there, we're trying to figure out which one, and it just gets terribly boring. But, and yeah. Take advantage of those memories. I've shared some of these things with you. I didn't do this with my first 2 kids. And I seen the ability with my smartphone to take notes when I hear something. When Lina says something, or when I have a memory with Lina, I write it in here. So I can remember. Let me just share a couple of them with you. Maybe some of you have heard some of these in the past. And I don't know dates. This goes back quite a while. This is Lina quite a few years ago. Someday, when I'm as big as my dad and I don't have any hair, I can go hunting. Right? This one. I was sitting on the couch and I heard her go running across the entryway to our house into her bedroom, and I heard, ouch! I really got to quit leaving my stuff laying around. She came home from school. I think it was her first week a few years ago. She came home from school. I said, so Lina, what made your teacher smile today? Me? Here you go. My boyfriend, Park, he has a new girlfriend. I said, so? She said, I have a new boyfriend. I said, what's his name, Lina? I forget. Here you go. I married Jensen today because he does what I tell him and he thinks I'm his lady. I could go on and on and on. Anyway, this is just cool stuff that someday I'm going to haunt her with, right? Treasure these memories. Don't take tomorrow for granted. If you only had a week left, how would you spend it? What would you do with your husband, your wife, your children, your friends? God says, live each day and week as if it were your last. Don't get morbid about it. Just squeeze the essence from every day. It's good to plan for the future, but you only live right now. That's what counts. In conclusion, And Matt's been telling me I need to work on my conclusion. I surprise him when I end my messages. So, in conclusion, if you have chosen to be a Christ follower, you might say, I know I'm a Christian. I know I've got God in my life. But Lord, I've been planning my life without your input. Right? Help me to plan better with you. Or maybe you need to say, Lord, help me to stop putting off what I know I ought to be doing. Help me as I work for you in ministry at Union Grove or in the community. I'm ready to make a career change. I'm ready to restore a relationship. I'm ready to get healthy. Today's the day we need to worry about it. Today's the day we're living life. Right now is when we're living life. Let me pray. Father, thank you for this church family. And I thank you that you are here with us today. I thank you for your presence and for your word, that it's practical and it applies to our lives every moment of every day. Help us to do what we know we ought to do. Bless us as we enjoy the rest of our weekend and this afternoon. Bring us comfort and guidance. In your name, amen.
Nice job, Darren. Good message.
Anyone time me?
The daily bread there is new.